to Covering the Fields with your host, Joe Ellison.
Welcome to part 2 of this week's episode. In studio today, we have Marc, the Shark Sabella, and Gator Gates. How are you feeling today, Marc?
Doing great, Joe. How are you?
Terrific. Marc, we're going to get right to our Take or Fake segment. What do you have for us this week?
Joe, the continuing saga of Kyrie Irving, the drama of the Nets that are, the story continues over the weekend. Kyrie Irving was found at the ACC tournament at the Gardens in New York, maskless. He's mugging for the cameras. He is later found in the Nets locker room, even with a more S-eating grin. And New York Mayor Eric Adams basically came out and said, that's a nice smile you have there, Kyrie, but you're going to get, your Nets team is getting fined $50,000. Durant drops 53 on the Knicks on Sunday and comes out in the post-game conference and says that Eric Adams needs to get his S together, make a ruling and stick to it, start doing, quit singling out Kyrie Irving, quit hurting our team, and then he got fined for his post-game comments. So the drama continues over there, Joe, but this is going to lead to our first Take or Fake.
Take or Fake.
Number 1, Take or Fake. Joe, is Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, now overstepping his authority in the mayoral office and starting to single out Kyrie Irving as just being a bad guy, just because he's not really playing by his rules, and just because he is kind of throwing it in his face when he does the big cat grins?
Well, the way I understand the story, it's a private sector mandate. This is also going to apply to the Mets and Yankees when the baseball season starts.
Ooh.
So I think Aaron Judge might be on that list with Kyrie Irving. It sounds like possibly. So and this also applies to like restaurants and other kinds of businesses. I'm not sure which ones, but. So I guess he's not taking it too far. I'm going to say that's a fake. I think it is absolutely ridiculous, this policy, but at least he's being consistent with his, his actions.
Yes, and I would agree with you, Joe. I'm going to say that's a fake also, although the heat is definitely on Eric Adams at this point in time. He's being watched a little bit more carefully to not single out certain people, and especially sports figures. But Kyrie's not doing himself any favors when he's mugging for big grins and things like that, and basically throwing it in the mayor's face. I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors that way. But this leads us to number 2, Joe, Take or Fake. With Kyrie dropping 60 last night on the heels of Durant dropping 53 on the Knicks. Now, granted, the 60 was on Orlando, one of the worst teams in basketball. But and then Steve Nash is hopeful that Simmons will actually play before the regular season is out. Take or Fake, Joe, Brooklyn will become the best team in the East.
I don't see that happening. I'm going to go fake on that. I'm not so sure Simmons is even going to play. I'm not sure what's going on with him. It must be some kind of mental issue, apparently. I've got him, I looked at the standings. I got him like 7th best in the East currently. So not a chance.
I'm going to say fake also. I just think you got the Chicagos, the Miamis, the Milwaukees, and the Phillies that are playing too much right now. Milwaukee, of course, the reigning champions, they have to have this figured out. You got Philly also that has Harden now, and I just have a feeling they're going to have a game plan for a lower-seeded Nets team going into the playoffs. So I'm going to say fake also.
A team that won't have Irving playing it in their home games. So,
well, not yet.
Okay.
Number 3, Joe, take or fake. And this is a special, one of our listeners, Victor, chewed me out for basically being more West Coast biased, and was very unhappy with my power rankings a couple weeks ago with nobody in the East really cracked the top 3 or 4. So this is actually a special Victor take or fake. Joe, the Miami Heat in the Big Mouse's rankings actually cracked the top 2 and is considered the best team in the East by the Big Mouse. Take or fake, Joe, the Miami Heat are in your top 2 in the NBA.
Well, Victor's not going to like my take on this, and it's going to be a fake on that one. I do have, yes, Phoenix, Memphis, and Golden State ahead of Miami. So I've got them like the 4th best team. So that's a fake.
Okay. I would, not to get yelled at by him anymore, I'm just going to say it's a take so I don't get yelled at anymore.
Okay.
So there you go, Victor. We're 50 batting 500 there. So and Joe, your last take or fake, number 4, is Golden State is getting healthy. And they have got Draymond Green back. They're getting their other guys back. We had just talked about them a week or so ago that they were really missing the chemistry of their 5 guys. Most of them starters are coming right off the bench. And the take or fake, Joe, is that Golden State will, and I think right now they're currently 4 or 5 games in back of the Phoenix Suns. Your take or fake, Joe, Golden State is healthy enough and will produce enough to overtake the resurgent Suns for number 1 in the West, even as CP3 is still out.
I'm going to go fake again. What I saw is actually Phoenix, last I checked, they were 54-14. I saw Golden State and Memphis with 22 losses, so they're actually more like 7 or 8 back.
Sure.
I haven't updated the last couple days. I don't see, that's already 68 games. It's an 82-game season. I just don't, I believe it is an 82-game season.
It is.
Yes, so I don't see how it's mathematically possible. That would mean Phoenix going 500 the rest of the way and either Golden State or Memphis winning out. So I am going to say fake. Yes, that's 22, yes.
Yes, our producer, who is a Golden State homer, definitely would take the take on that as overcoming the Phoenix Suns right now, even if it is mathematically impossible for them to do it. But I'm going to have to say sorry to our producer. I'm going to say that's a fake also. You got to bet with your head and not your heart, so it's they're just too far back. I think they're going to be obviously one of the top 2 teams or 3 teams in the Western Finals. But the thing is yeah, they're going to have to start playing a little bit more together and get ready for the playoffs. They've lost too many critical games recently where they had big leads, and it was without their players. But now they're getting healthy again. They're going to be a force in the playoffs.
It'll be a good battle between Golden State and Memphis for the 2 seed and in the future home court in the playoffs.
Yep.
That'll be the battle.
Take or fake.
Okay, well, Marc, do you have some predictions for us this week for these games coming up?
I do, Joe. I have 6 games like I did last week. Friday, March the 18th. You have the Chicago Bulls going into the aforementioned Phoenix Suns. Chicago, 41-27. They're a mediocre 16-17 on the road, and they're actually 14-18-1 road against the spread. They go into Phoenix, and Phoenix has been doing it even without CP3 there. Booker's just been carrying the team and getting good contributions from the other players. Phoenix is always tough. They're number 1 in my rankings still, 54-14. They're 17-20 home against the spread. 29-8 home, Joe, straight up. Phoenix beat Chicago in Chicago February 7th, but didn't cover the spread. I'm guessing Phoenix will be a 6-point favorite at home. I'm going to take Phoenix on the money line on that one, Joe. On the second game, the Dallas Mavericks, 42-26. They're 19-14 on the road. They have an incredible road against the spread record, 20-12-1 on the road this season. They go into Philadelphia. Philadelphia, now with Harden, has been playing a lot better until they met Brooklyn and got trounced by them. But Philly is 41-26, 19-15 at home, but they're a miserable 13-21 home against the spread. Philly is probably going to be giving 3 on that, and Dallas beat Philadelphia in Dallas February 4th as a dog, a home dog. I'm going to take Dallas with as many points as you can get on that one. I think it'll be a close game. It could go either way, but I think Dallas will cover the spread on that, as they've been doing all season. Sunday, March the 20th, San Antonio is playing my producer's Golden State Warriors. San Antonio, 26-43, 13-21 on the road. What's interesting about San Antonio is they got such a poor record this year, and they aren't one of the best teams, but they're 18-15-1 road against the spread. Golden State is, as we had just talked in Take or Fake, that they are improving, getting healthy. Steph dropped 47 on Washington the other day. Clay dropped 38 against Milwaukee. I mean, these guys are starting to heat up, Joe. And so Golden State is at home, 47-22, 29-7 at home, 6-4 in their last 10 at home against the spread. They beat the Spurs in San Antonio on the 1st of February as a rare road dog. Golden State will probably be favored by about 5.5. You can't do enough points on this one. Take Golden State and give the 5.5. I don't think it's going to be that close on that one. Monday, March 21st, Utah, 49-26, 18-15 on the road. Not very good in the last 10 road against the spread, 2-7-1. They go into Brooklyn. Brooklyn, as we were just talking about, heating up, getting their players back when they can play. Simmons, who knows, 36-33 overall. What's incredible, Joe, is this staggering statistic. Brooklyn is 7-24-1 home against the spread. That is just incredible. I couldn't even I was checking to make sure that wasn't a typo. They rolled a 150 on Orlando the other day. Now, granted, Orlando is a bad team, and Irving scored 60, but they're starting to gel now. Utah is a tough team. Utah actually crushed Brooklyn on February 4th in Utah by 23. Brooklyn will probably be about a 1.5 favorite. I just think this situation here, Brooklyn starting to gel, AD getting pissed. I'm going to take Brooklyn and give the 1.5 on that. Tuesday, March 22nd, the Bulls, 41-27. We just talked about them. They're 1-4 in the last 5 road games overall. They've dropped to second in the Central. They're behind Miami now as pretty much statistically the best team in the East. They go into Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been playing very well lately. 43-26, 24-12 at home. But what's interesting, Joe, is Milwaukee is one of those teams that has a better road record than home record, which we've been talking about all year. 14-22 home against the spread. They have, however, won 4 in a row straight up at home. I'm guessing Milwaukee will be giving 6, and I'm actually going to take a flyer on this one and take Chicago with as many points as I can get on that one. I don't think Chicago's going to lose back-to-back to Phoenix and Milwaukee on that one. And if they do, they're going to cover one of those two for the spread. So, and then finally, Joe, my last game, Wednesday, March 23rd, Brooklyn, that we just talked about, 36-33, just barely over 500. They are the better road team because Irving can play. 21-15 on the road. They've won the last 3 in a row all on the road. They go into Big Rich's team, Memphis. Memphis is 47-22. I still believe they're in obviously the top 5 teams in the association. 24-10. Job was injured last night, so they won their game against Indiana that I so predicted. But I didn't know Jaw was going to be out. I don't know if he's going to be ready for this game. Assuming he is and he's playing, this is a marquee game regardless. I hope he's going to be well enough to play in that game. I'm going to say Memphis is a -2 point favorite around there. I'm going to take Memphis over Brooklyn on that one. But Jaw has to play that game.
That's great work, Mark. Thank you for the picks.
Thank you, Joe.
Our final guest today is Gator Gates. How are things going today, Gator?
Oh, I'm excellent, Joe. Thank you.
Gator, what's the news this week in the National Hockey League?
Okay, Joe. Well, Jack Eichel returned back to Buffalo last Thursday when the Golden Knights played the Sabres in front of a season record crowd of 12,400. But during warm-up, Jack was greeted with signs that read, "Thanks for nothing" to "Welcome back, Jack." The Sabres did have a tribute video in the first intermission where most of the crowd booed through the whole thing. And a few fans did applaud for Jack, though. But he did say it was the loudest that he ever heard the place, and it was a nice tribute. He said there was plenty of people supporting him, and there was plenty of people booing him as well. But he thinks that those fans wish I was still here. But also, goalie Craig Anderson, who once played for the Avalanche, plus many other teams, became the 6th U.S.-born goalie to reach 300 wins. Now, the other 5, Joe, is Tom Barrasso, Ryan Miller, Mike Rector, Jonathan Quick, and John Van Beesbrook. Now, what is crazy to me, Joe, is that the players that Jack was traded for, Peyton Cribbs and Alex Took, they both scored goals in that game.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that only 12,400 is the biggest crowd for Buffalo this year. Another sad year for the Sabres.
Well, it is New York, though, Joe.
They won't let that many people in? Is that the problem?
Well, I'm not exactly sure on their whole things, but they seem to be a little bit stricter, don't they?
They are stricter, no doubt about it. Craig Anderson is 40 years old, too. It's still playing.
That's correct, Joe. Yeah,
That's
I forgot
remarkable.
about that.
What else is going on?
Well, Joe, I know we're coming up to the trade deadline. And, again, there's a lot of talk, but there hasn't been much action. But the Avalanche has done the most damage, I would say, or however you want to look at it. For one, Landeskog just had knee surgery done on Monday, so I'm hoping that he's going to be back for the playoffs. But let's see, they moved Josh Hansen from Anaheim. We got him. And Colorado also got Nick Sturm from Minnesota. Now, we just traded centers for that. We gave them Tyson Jost, and so that's a fair trade. But the big one that I think is, Joe, that Claude Giroux?
Claude Giroux.
Giroux. Okay,
Yeah.
Claude Giroux. He's probably the biggest name out there, and I think that Colorado's trying to get him, especially if Landeskog is iffy.
Yeah.
He should be back, though, I would think, Joe.
Well, Giroux is probably Philadelphia's best player.
Oh, yeah, by far.
So that'd be a pretty big trade there.
Well,
Yeah.
if they're not doing anything, Philly isn't.
Well, that could be part of their future, too, that they're trading away. So,
Correct.
yeah, I love the fact the trade deadline is 60 games into the season. The later you have the trade deadline, the better, I think.
I think so, too.
And it's after the All-Star game, which is the opposite of the NBA, which I think is kind of ridiculous that the NBA has their trade deadline before the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And it gives you as much time as possible to figure out, hey, do we have a shot for the playoffs or not?
Correct.
So,
Or build for the future.
yeah, and that's 60 games into an 82-game season. So, well, Gator, you went 6-4 last week. That's in our tally, 87 and 31 over the last 15 weeks. Gator, what are your predictions for the upcoming week?
Okay, Joe. Well, I got two of them starting on Friday. I got Calgary over Buffalo, and I have Colorado at the Sharks, and they are playing at the Shark Tank. Saturday, I got Minnesota over Chicago, Edmonton over New Jersey, Las Vegas over Los Angeles. Now, that's a great game, Joe. I would love to watch that one. Anyways, Sunday, I just got one game. I do got Philly over the Islanders. They can't just keep losing, Joe. And Islanders cannot just keep winning. And Boston is playing at Montreal. Montreal has hosed me for 3 weeks. I still am not taking them. I'm sorry, Joe. Cannot take them. Boston's going to keep going. And I got Colorado at Edmonton. Probably another game that Edmonton does have a chance at. And Tuesday, I got the Rangers over the New Jersey and Calgary over the Sharks.
All right, well, good luck with those picks.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I probably need it.
Keep the heat up on those. Shifting over to NASCAR, how did last week's race in Phoenix end up?
Oh, NASCAR, uh-huh. Well, Sunday, Chase Briscoe became the 200th different winner in NASCAR Cup Series. Now, the 27-year-old said, and I quote, "It's unbelievable. I was crying the whole last lap," unquote. Well, under 20 laps left, Chase had two great restarts to pull away from Ross Chastain, and Tyler Reddick. Now, Briscoe, who drives for Stewart-Haas Racing, made some Tony Stewart-like moves to keep the Chevys at bay, Joe. And the Toyotas got fifth with Kurt Busch, and Kyle Busch got seventh. But, Joe, the Fords had 5 cars in the top 10.
Well, I would say if you had Chase Briscoe, if you got him before qualifying started, you would have got him at 100 to 1.
Mm-hmm, Joe. That's correct.
Yes, and that was Chase Briscoe's first win ever. So, in fact, if Chastain or Reddick had won, that would have been their first win. That's why you get odds like that, I guess.
And I think we're going to see that all this season, Joe. Yeah. At all these tracks, I think that you're going to see first-time winners everywhere.
Yeah, especially with this new car, the next-gen car, we've had 4 races and 4 different winners.
Yeah.
So it's, the playing field has got a lot more competitive and even. I will also note Kevin Harvick, that was his 18th straight top 10 at Phoenix, which ties Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty for the most straight top 10s at any one particular track. So Harvick's usually a good bet.
Yes.
In Phoenix. Yes. So I guess the 3-week swing in the West is done, and now we're moving on back to the East to Atlanta this week.
Oh, yeah, and Joe, Atlanta, they just put down some new fresh pavement. So I'm guessing that we're going to see a lot of blocking there, more so than normal. But what's crazy, Joe, is that when that usually causes a lot of wrecks, like in Daytona and Talladega, that blocking. But so I got my favorite driver, Truex. He's at 15 to 1, but I don't think he's going to be there. Elliott is at 11 to 1, and they have 3 drivers, Joe, that are tied for the favorite at 10 to 1. So books don't even know who's going to win this race.
Yeah, if 10 to 1 is the lowest odds, that's the book is telling you these races are wide open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you can pick them, man, you can make some good money, 100 to 1.
Yeah, that was a good one. I wonder what he was after qualifying, because he did qualify very, very well.
Yeah, and I'm thinking he usually goes down to half, so I'm going to guess around 50 to 1, Joe. That's just a guess.
Okay. So, Gator, the Six Nations rugby competition is coming to a close. What happened last week?
Joe, we didn't do too good. We went 0-3.
Our picks weren't good. I wasn't going to mention that. But I guess we saw France won at Wales, 13-9.
Yeah.
Scotland won at Italy, 33-22. Ireland won at England, 32-15. It was a rough week for us. I will say Scotland's win at Italy guaranteed that Italy wins again the wooden spoon, which goes to the last place team. Could you remember the last time Italy actually even won a game in this competition.
No.
They beat Scotland in 2015. So, yes, but they continue to give it a try. They actually had a pretty spirited effort last week, losing only by 11 to Scotland. I was surprised by that.
Well,
Obviously,
they have shown pretty good in this tournament, Joe. I mean, they're not a pushover like they used to be. I'll give them that.
No. So now, if France wins at home against England, they will win the competition and complete the Grand Slam because they won all their games in this
right, correct.
tournament.
And I didn't get to see the odds, Joe, so I don't know if you have any.
I do. I will note that France's last championship all the way back in 2010. So.
I mean, they're going to be at home, Joe.
Yes, they will be at home.
And England hasn't, like we said at the beginning, they weren't going to have their number one captain. So I thought the books were kind of crazy having them so high.
Well, we have Ireland favored by 15.5 at home against Scotland. And we have France favored by 7.5 at home against England.
Okay.
And France and Ireland, the only two teams that can win the championship.
Right.
And if France loses and Ireland wins, Ireland would win the tournament.
And I did see France at a minus 350, 3.5.
Oh, okay.
To win the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, minus 350 to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't see the game, but you told me. But I'm thinking that the home teams are going to do good. I don't see any of the dogs. Scotland? I don't know.
No, I totally agree with you. I like Ireland, minus the 15.5, home versus Scotland. They're going to put pressure on France. That game is being played before the French game. And that's good that they scheduled it like that.
Yeah, that's the last game out of the three, the France.
Yes, and I'm going to take France at home, minus the 7.5, to win the championship. I don't see them blowing it against England. No. England didn't look good at all last week. No. And there are no odds on the Italy at Wales match, but
I couldn't figure it out.
If there are later in the week, take Wales, I would assume, lay the 30 points or whatever it is.
Yeah, you probably can't come up with one high enough.
Yeah, maybe that, or maybe just the fact that it has basically no bearing on the championship.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
so.
they might play a bunch of backups and. Yeah, you never.
That very well could be.
Well, terrific job, Gator.
Okay.
Thanks for being on the show.
Well, I appreciate it, Joe. I thank you, man.
Sponsored by MXE Media, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the moments we've all been waiting for, the stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end something went horribly wrong, and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So, Big Rich, do you have a You Got Hosed story this week?
Yes, I do, Joe. I'm going to bring this question over to the great barber over there, Jeff. Jeff, do you know Tom Brady's last touchdown pass was to? It would be a playoff game against the Rams. To Mike Evans, exactly. And what does Mike Evans do? The great humanitarian, when he scores a touchdown, even if it's the 5,000 touchdown football for he likes to give the ball away, Marc. So what does he do? He gives it to the stand. A cute-looking kid up there gets the football. So that football was auctioned last week as Tom Brady's last touchdown, and the bidding started at $100,000, and it went to $518,000. And then Tom Brady says, "I'm coming back." So you have a $518,000 playoff football that's probably worth $1,000. So you got hosed.
Poor investment. Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed moment?
Yeah, Joe. This story was reported by the Chicago Tribune. A Chicago ticket broker was convicted of fraudulently selling White Sox home game tickets. Now, Bruce Lee, 35, was trying to make the argument that he had actually helped the team by putting more concession-buying fans in the seats. Well, the district judge still sentenced him to 1.5 years in federal prison, and he had to pay $74,600 in restitution to the White Sox, and personally forfeit $450,000 in ill-gotten gains. Now, the other two White Sox employees, James Costello, 67, and William O'Neill, 52, were also arrested and pleaded guilty to their roles in the scam. But that said, those tickets, they haven't gotten their fate yet, and not sure what's going to happen to them. But they did sell about 1,000 of these tickets that came out to be about $1 million for the three men all combined. So I think that Bruce Lee, he didn't just hose himself, he also hosed James and Williams. All three of them, they all got hosed.
Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I thought that was great too, brother.
Okay, well, thanks.
Okay, Joe, you got a host story?
No, I haven't really been bitten a whole lot lately, but, you know, it always happens every year. I feel badly for the teams that were so close to making the tournament. Teams such as SMU and Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Dayton. Xavier's coach, just got fired because he didn't make the tournament. That's rough. Maybe BYU and Wake Forest. Any of those teams that got so close but not getting into the tournament, they got hosed.
Right, and it's not fair to a lot of them, I agree, but that's the business.
You can only get 68 in there, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You're so right. Somebody else is right there rating the tickets.
You got hosed.
So that's all for part 2 of this week's show. I'd like to thank my guests, Big Richard Martin, Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon, Marc the Shark Sabella, and Gator Gates, our producer, our engineer, our editor, our junior IT tech, Caden Martin, and everyone for listening. We'd like you to visit our Covering the Field website to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Give us your feedback, your You Got Hosed moments, and any other comments you'd like to give us. And find us on Twitter at Covering Field. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show. And you can join us again and hear us again next week on another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field, a CM World Services and the Sage production.